Yeah, I think there's about 3 or 4 spots on this roster right now that are up for grabs today.
And Brian, I think 92 being Danny Strogal, of course, who we all know that is the number 92, thanks to the helpful roster right here. I do think
dug that one out.
Yes, he versus B.J. Green could be a battle for a roster spot today. That is one of the more interesting ones to watch.
Listen, since you bring that up, I'll share with you a couple of thoughts from yesterday's television production meeting. Here are some battles that the head coach gave us to watch tonight. The one that you just mentioned, B.J. Green and Danny Strogal. Also, Jordan Jefferson, second-year defensive tackle, and Tyler Lacey, who's a third-year defensive tackle. How about Chad Muma in his 4th season from Wyoming, battling Branson Combs, the undrafted rookie linebacker from Wake Forest, who they like an awful lot. And then Yasir Abdullah and Dennis Gardeck. It's another battle to watch. So we've got plenty, but those are 4 that were pointed out. Why don't we get to the topic of conversation with some of the big stories from around this week? And the running game is a common theme here, guys. You're going to follow along very easily. The head coach came to Jacksonville with a proven track record of running the ball in Tampa. They went from near worst to near first in one season. He is a guy who is encouraged by what he's seen from the running game so far this summer.
I like where they're headed. We haven't, necessarily in the preseason games run a ton of our full offense, but I do think that we're hitting blocks in the zone game the way we want to for the most part. The backs are getting a better feel for it. And the receivers, that's kind of the next step in the run game production is, it takes all 11. And our wideouts have to take that personally and, know that the more that they get on safeties and block in the run game, now the better our play action is because it looks and feels the same, and now it's more physical. So that's the next step in that progression.
And look, Austen, Liam Cohen made it pretty clear. It's going to be tough to have more than 3 tailbacks active on game day. Honestly, most teams don't carry more than 3 tailbacks here. So I think this is the dilemma. If they keep all 4, who are you leaving on the bench in week 1 against Carolina?
I think it's literally going to be, in terms of the game plan, what they see from the Panthers. Because you have a guy like Travis Etienne who, is probably the most experienced back of that backfield. So, you can probably depend on him. You have Tank Bigsby, who has shown some flashes in the past. You have, Tootin, who I think is the most intriguing guy because he's the home run hitter, right? Like, when you talk about a running back, you can teach them a lot of things. You can teach them the vision, the patience. You can't teach them speed. And Tootin has the speed. And then you have a guy in Laquent Allen who's been nothing sort of just dependable all preseason. So it's a great question. It's one of the biggest questions I feel like going into this game, even of, how's Tootin going to stand out? How's Allen going to stand out? You want to talk about things to watch for this preseason game? That's what I'm watching right now is the running backs. Is someone going to separate themselves today where they go to Liam Cohen and say, hey, when we play Carolina week 1, I better be active?
Well, let me give you a little nugget from the head coach yesterday. 33, Bashal Tootin, is getting better on special teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. If he can help more on special teams, perhaps he can be active. But he said getting 4 on game day was going to be quite a challenge. So let's stick with the running game here for just a minute. Offensive coordinator Grant Udinski knows the importance of the running game and what Cohen is trying to get done and how it will impact everything else that they want to do on the offensive side of the football.
Game. Well, I think it kind of starts with the mentality first and foremost, the way you approach the run game, committing all 11, the way you're going to practice the run game, the emphasis you put on the techniques, fundamentals, and the play style. I think just starting with that foundation of how we approach the run game lays that groundwork for the rest of the hopeful success that we have throughout the year, whatever the scheme is.
Yeah, and like you said, Austen, kind of depending on what you see on film from your opponent that week, I think there are a lot of skill sets that are replicated with some of these guys. Etienne's so good in the passing game, but that's where Laquent Allen comes in, right? Great pass protector, great receiver out of the backfield, showed a lot of physicality. As Brian just mentioned, Bashal Tootin showing out a little bit more on special teams. Whoever that third guy is going to have some special teams role for this team.
No, without a doubt. That's how he's going to get his foot in the door, and then hopefully when he's called upon in the game, he can make some flash plays as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we're 4 or 5 weeks into the regular season and we're talking about just some sort of rotation between Tootin and Allen, or maybe even Tank Bigsby as well. And I think eventually it's going to sort itself out, right? We saw this last year with Tampa Bay. It was more of a running back by committee with Rashad White, and then you had Bucky Irving. And then finally, Irving, you couldn't deny him anymore. We had to go, this is the starter of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going forward. I think the thought is, whether it's Travis Etienne, whether it's Tank Bigsby, whether it's Tutner, whether it's Laquent Allen, hopefully someone's going to separate themselves halfway through the season where you can go, okay, this is our bell cow, this is our guy.
All right, maybe it's wishful thinking on my part and a lot of people's part. It's a third preseason game. Few starters, if any, will even have their uniforms on by the time we get to kickoff tonight. Running the ball seems to be a good way to make sure that you get through this game relatively healthy. But it was the theme. We talked about it in the production meeting yesterday. All of the folks that came to the podium this week were talking about it, including wide receiver De'Ami Brown. He told us it's been made clear to everyone that the wide receivers are a critical part of the successful offense, and it's more in the running game than you might think. It allows them to go and make plays on down the line.
I don't know if y'all saw, I saw a video on Twitter not too long ago. We did like a blocking drill on the bags, and it was a funny comment. There was like, no block, no rock. But, I mean, we want the backs to do good as well. We want to be, all together as one, and, unselfishly at the same time. We want to win together, and ways for us to win is to start blocking.
It's boring to the average fan, right? Let's talk about wide receivers and how well they block, Austen. But it's all these things fit together. 11 guys have to execute to make a play successful.
No, you have to. And I think that comes down to attitude and really just having the team's back, right? Because let's be honest here. When we're talking about, wide receivers re-upping on their contracts, you don't see their agents pounding on the table saying, hey, well, this guy's like an 80% run blocker. Like, nobody cares, right? It's all about touchdowns. It's all about the receptions, all about the targets. But when you find wide receivers who can block in the run game, that just sets them apart, and it sets your team apart, really. And obviously we know Liam Cohen wants to pound the rock here, establish the line of scrimmage. And in order to do that, you got to have, willing wide receivers.
The quarterback yesterday talked a little bit about the running game, and he was so impressed by the steps they've taken this summer. In fact, he used the term amazed, how many runs they've installed and how physical that group is up front. Physical and smart. When you guys have watched the running game in the first two preseason games, do you see physical and smart from the offensive line?
I mean, listen, I saw it the first day of pads, at training camp, where that was something I watched very closely, that first team period. How does this Jaguars offensive line going to come out? Because last year running the football was a little bit of a problem, and they answered the bell with flying colors. I mean, I remember that very first team period in full pads that I watched. They were cohesive, they gelled, and they played with this kind of swagger and this intensity, and that's got to carry over now to week one against Carolina. Obviously, when we talk about what they've done in preseason, yes, it has looked pretty good, but keep in mind, they're playing a lot of the 2s and 3s. So what would it look like week one against Carolina when it's 1s-on-1s?
Yeah, I don't think the running game has been dominant, Austen. I think it's been effective situationally. Like, they've converted some key third downs, things like that, which are good. But, Brian, the health of this line is the question right now, with Adoga and Anton Harrison being banged up, Wyatt Milam as well. We don't know what the timetable is for Cole Van Lanen. So while I think they feel like they've got a lot of interchangeable parts, I think they want all these guys available. Hopefully they'll have that coming up in 2 weeks. Particularly, Austen, I think Milam brings a really physical aspect to that group.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you ever meet this guy or talk to this dude, he's got a wiener dog. So it doesn't make any sense to me that an offensive lineman as nasty as him has this tiny dog that he's always praising on Instagram, man, but more power to him. Yeah, this guy plays with an attitude. He's almost like one of those throwback right tackles he reminds me of, right? Back when I played, like, you had the left tackles who were a little more of the athletes and everything, a little more mild-mannered, and then you had the right tackles who were eating gravel and kind of, cheap shotting you and all that stuff. Not saying Wyatt Milam's a cheap shot artist or anything, but I'm just saying he plays with this attitude, he plays with an intensity, and that's what you want for this team going forward.
All right, let's flip it to the defensive line. And the Jaguars made a rare player-for-player trade earlier this week to shore up the run defense. They sent Luke Fortner, a center who wasn't likely to make the team, to New Orleans for Colin Sanders. And Sanders brought a lot of personality to his first news conference in Jacksonville earlier this week, recounting the whirlwind adventure from playing the Jaguars to joining them.
Man, it was, I want to say like 7:30 something. We had just, got done with the game against y'all, and I got home. I was actually playing some Fortnite, and I got a call from Coach Moore, and I told the guys in the party, like, hey, hold on real quick, muted the mic and took the call. He's like, just wanted to be the first one to tell you the business of the game and stuff like that. And he was like, so you've been traded. And obviously, heart drop and all of that. I'm like, where to? And then he's like, Jacksonville. I'm like, the one we just played today. And so, but yeah, it was a surprise. I'm obviously really happy to be here. And but yeah, it was almost instantaneous. The joy that came in. I'm like, wow, it's fast moving, but wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
It's funny how the NFL works, right? Luke Fortner not going to make this team. Colin Saunders maybe not in the plans. They've switched their defense up on what they're going to do there, and so maybe he's a better fit in a 4-3 front. And look, instantly, probably one of the best personalities in this locker room, right?
Yeah,
he's phenomenal. But you may have just shipped off, Austen, a guy that wasn't going to make your team for a guy who may start for you on opening day, or at least is going to play heavy in the rotation.
No, without a doubt. When we talk about Saunders, man, just when I think that I have a good feel for the locker room, like the modern era NFL athlete, he's playing Fortnite, which I didn't even know was still a thing these days. So that was a little surprising. He's playing Fortnite and everything. But listen, when you talk about James Gladstone used during the combine and everything, during the offseason, intangibly rich. This guy's intangibly rich. Wherever he's been, he's got the respect of the locker room. They loved him in Kansas City. He was on the leadership committee in New Orleans. He's got a couple Super Bowl rings to back it up as well, so he's got that experience. So, yeah, it's not only what you're getting on the field, which is a fast twitch, I feel like, nose tackle who's going to be great in the run game, but it's what also he brings to the locker room in terms of leadership, in terms of knowing what a championship team looks like, and obviously maybe pushing some of those other players as well.
Guys, briefly, in the 2 minutes we have left in this first segment of the Publix Tailgate show, I talked yesterday with Anthony Campanile, and he was talking about the veteran leadership. And coaches like to talk about leadership, and you just touched on it. But he was talking about what Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray have met to the secondary, right? And what does a guy like Colin Saunders bring to the front? And the whole locker room has been filled with guys who are upgrading the leadership in that locker room and coming off of a terrible defensive season. It seems like that was a huge, necessary move for them to make, to go find those kinds of guys.
It had to be, because you can't have enough of those guys. If you're trying to, turn around from a disappointing season, obviously there has to be some turnover, right? And in that turnover, yes, you have to rely on some young guys in the draft and some younger free agents, but you also have to bring in that veteran experience and guys that know how to do things the right way. And I think the plan for Liam Cohen going forward is, right now, Liam Cohen's kind of got to set the culture, right? He has to be the leader. He has to set expectations, but ideally what he wants to do 2, 3, 4 years from now is pass that on to his captains, pass it on to his leaders, and the leaders can kind of implement that culture. That's what I had in Kansas City with guys like Eric Berry, guys like Tamba Ali, where Andy Reid came in, he set expectations, and then the players take over a couple years from there.
All right, well, the new season is right around the corner, and the time to get your 2025 Jaguars season ticket membership is right now. Be at Everbank Stadium for every touchdown and secure your seats by going to jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000 today. We'll see you at Everbank Stadium in 2025, Jags fans. Well, coming up here on the Publix Tailgate Show,
playing with an edge, playing with physical. We want to be physical with anybody that we play.
that's rookie running back Laquent Allen Jr., who brings passion to the Jaguars running room, and he did on the practice field against the Dolphins the other day as well. You'll hear from him coming up. But next, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco offers his perspective on today's game in his weekly conversation with Mike. The Jaguars and Dolphins are coming up at 7 o'clock from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And you're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Hey, fellow Floridians, it's Ben.
And Brianna Smith. We are foodies who love sharing recipes online.
And trying new cooking techniques on our new natural gas stove.
He loves his precise temperature control on the heat.
Yeah, I also love saving money and using less energy.
Oh, watch that flame.
So, who loves to be in control?
Now earn up to a $300 cashback rebate for installing a new energy-efficient natural gas range or stovetop. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Right Now Power Sports is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars football fires up your Sundays, and a Yamaha boat or wave runner brings on-the-water thrills to get you through the other 6 days of the week. Check out the extensive Yamaha watercraft selection that must go at the Right Now Power Sports Beach Boulevard and Jacksonville locations. Their prices will not be beat. You and the Jaguars can both win this season. Just mention Jaguars at the time of your purchase. Online at ridenow.com. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Brian Sexton and Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane are in the Hyundai Studios back in Jacksonville. We've got a 7 o'clock kickoff for the Jaguars and Dolphins from Hard Rock Stadium. And each week, Mike visits with CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. What was the conversation like this week? I know Pete was on the practice field with the Jaguars and Dolphins on Thursday.
Absolutely, Brian. That made it very timely. Obviously, he had his impressions of what went down. Some good, some bad, but we wanted to start with the good. Who stood out to Pete from a positive standpoint for the Jags during that joint practice session?
Well, I thought the pass rush did some really good things. I think they really influenced Tua when he was throwing the football. Trayvon Walker had some good rushes. Armstead had some good pressures on the inside. So, Josh Hines-Allen did his usual stuff. So I thought the defensive line had one of the best days of any group out there, and really influenced what Tua was trying to do in the passing game.
You look at the interior of that line, Pete. Armstead, by some accounts, had his best practice in a Jaguar uniform. Mason Smith is healthy, and he has looked good in the short time he's been back on the practice field. They added Colin Saunders, who's an experienced guy who's got a couple of Super Bowl rings. I don't want to get crazy here, but could defensive tackle turn into maybe a hidden strength on this football team, or is that going too far?
Well, if Armstead can stay healthy and play like he has, not last year, but the years before, yes. And this is another big if Mason Smith can take his game to the next level, which I think he has the tools to do, then the answer to that question would be yes. But both of those are major issues right now. But if they end up being yes answers, Mike, that defensive interior can be a lot better than it's been in the past.
Well, let's hope so. All right, so from what you saw on Thursday, what wasn't so great from the Jags' perspective?
I didn't think the passing game was great. At times, the red zone offense was really bad. Trevor Lawrence and Strange had a miscommunication, and he threw an interception. So I think there was not a real crispness early in the practice. It got better. There was a throw that, Brian Thomas caught a nice ball up the field from Trevor. And I thought the passing game kind of got going a little bit. But again, I thought the practice for both teams, it's the last day of training camp, essentially. They were both looked like they had that in the back of their minds, like the last day of school, and it just didn't look crisp at all. But the passing game had some issues at times for the Jaguars.
Yeah, you mentioned, though, Brian Thomas Jr., and by the accounts I've seen, he had a pretty solid practice and, maybe a step up from what we've seen throughout most of training camp, which is very reminiscent of last year in the joint practices with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pete, any concern at all with Brian Thomas Jr., or do you think he's going to firmly establish himself this year as one of the best receivers in the National Football League?
Zero concern. I know he's had some drops, and they said he hasn't gone up and caught 50-50 balls, and Liam Cohn even made a comment about that's the Brian Thomas we've expected to see after that practice. But I think he's a gamer, and I think he'll show up when the lights go on. I'm not worried about him at all. I think he's going to be a productive, big-time receiver and emerge as one of those guys that moves into the top echelon of the league's receivers.
All right, Pete, let's take a look at some position battles here that the Jags will have for a final roster spot. I think the mystery of who is going to be the fifth and possibly the sixth receiver is still going to play out. If you had to pick one right now after Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter, Parker Washington, who's the next guy up?
I don't think he's on the roster, to be honest with you, Mike. I think that's a position they're going to try and address and continue to try and address. Outside of the roster. They need a bigger receiver. I think that's something they're looking for. That's why I don't think that guy is necessarily on the roster. So keep an eye on that as the cuts get made on Tuesday.
Where else are some of the intriguing battles in terms of maybe two guys going head-to-head? I look at Green and Strigau on the defensive line potentially. What stands out to you?
What about on the safety, at the safety spot? I mean, Ransaw's injury has kind of impacted that a little bit. I thought there was a chance that could come down to Thomas or Savage, depending on if Ransaw was there. But now, you don't know because he's not there right now, and there's talk that he might be gone for a couple of weeks. So I think those are the positions. I think, what do you do with the backups on the offensive line with all the injuries? I mean, there's been a bunch of injuries in that position group. Nothing major, but the guys have missed time. Van Lannen's missed time. So I think the final spots on the offensive line will be interesting to keep an eye on.
All right, final one for you, Pete. The running back room. Liam Cohen said this week after practice it's going to be tough to have four tailbacks up on game day. Nobody has four tailbacks active on game day generally, but we know who the top four tailbacks are on this team. Do you think when opening day rolls around, they'll all be on this roster when they take on the Carolina Panthers?
I do on opening day. And we know how this league works, Mike. If somebody has a back go down in the first couple of weeks, they might call the Jaguars and say, hey, which one of those veterans would you like to trade us? And I think that might be a possibility. But I think on opening day, all four are there. Now, like he said, on opening day, which three are going to be up because they all four won't be up? I think that comes down to a couple things. They love Allen's ability to pass protect. That's important. Bigsby and Tootin aren't great in it, so that's also important. So I think those are some things to keep an eye on. But I'll tell you what, Tootin had a run in the practice against Miami where he scooted around left end and nobody was catching him, and you saw that burst. So there's a lot of things at play there. Only three will be up. It just depends on which three. And to be honest with you, it sounds like it might come down to between Bigsby and Tootin early because I think the pass protection problem is something that's a major concern.
All right, Austen, if we go back, Pete's comments about Eric Armstead in the defensive tackle position, John Shipley at Jaguar Report said he thought it was the best practice that Eric Armstead's had since he joined the Jaguars last year. So, getting healthy at the right time, a lot of teams get a cluster of injuries. The Jags guys look like they're heading in the right direction. How important is the Armstead-Mason Smith combo to this team?
It's everything, right? Because when we talk about last year, that was one of the biggest, I feel like, disappointments on this Jaguars team was the interior defensive line. And it's the reason why a lot of mock drafts had Mason Graham coming here to Jacksonville. And now, you have the Eric Armstead situation where there was the back thing. We didn't really know what was going on. Obviously, it's preseason, so they don't have to be completely transparent in terms of injuries and everything. I'm not going to lie. I was worried because you had Eric Armstead out and you had Mason Smith out. And those two guys are guys that you can rely on when the regular season starts. by all accounts, Eric Armstead had one of his best practices. It's amazing what you can do when you play the right position. You're not playing defensive end anymore, right? You're playing defensive tackle. And then obviously with Mason Smith, you hope that they always say you make your biggest leaps and bounds from your first year as a rookie to your second year. And I think with Mason Smith, what you've heard about in the offseason in terms of his work ethic, how much he's taking this seriously, you hope that he's going to be healthy as well and can contribute. But they need both those guys in some sort of combination, whether Eric Armstead's starting, whether Mason Smith's starting, to do their job and try to generate some of that interior pressure.
Hamilton had a very impactful day. He came up with the ball twice in team drills and was all over the front and into the backfield, causing problems. So if Eric Armstead had his best day, and it was good to see Mason Smith back out there, and you have Devon Hamilton, you might have something in the middle of the line, as Pete mentioned. PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars, and they have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Well, running back Laquent Allen has had an excellent training camp, and while it surprised some, Allen knew he belonged the day he showed up in Jacksonville. I mentioned an eventful practice session with the Dolphins on Thursday. You may have heard of a little skirmish, one that spilled off the field, onto the sidelines, and all the way into the Dolphins indoor practice facility. Yeah, that was Laquent Allen Jr. I asked him after practice about the edge that he plays this game with, something that has been mentioned by more than one person.
That just come from where I come from, and the grind every day. Growing up with not having a lot of things and things like that, and then putting my talent in play, keeping God first, and getting the guys around me better, and it just comes from there. And I just play with a chip on my shoulder because I know not a lot of guys been through what I've been through, so I just always come every day like that.
Listen, football's not supposed to be a nice game. That's the way that you're supposed to play it. But it's an edge, it's a chip, but there's also a passion for the game. Yeah, for sure. When did that develop?
I started football at 6, and I think it started from there. Just growing around the environment that I grew up in, and then falling in love with a sport. That's what I wanted to do at a very young age, and I stuck to it, and put in work when nobody was looking.
What was the toughest part about how you grew up?
I would say just the environment. It's easy to go downhill. A lot of haters out there, when you're trying to get your life together, and that's the crazy part, that everybody don't want to get together, make something good for the community and the youth. But that's what I try to do. I try to give back, every year, and I'm gonna continue to do that.
You got a lot together because this training camp has been sensational for you. Yes, Did you know when you showed up that you belonged, or what was the point where you realized, yeah, this is for me?
Oh yeah, the first day, not even before we touched the field, we went in the weight room, things like that, competition in the weight room, and team competition, just competing, since day one. I feel like I belong, and I'm gonna keep proving to myself every day and prove to the coaches every day that I belong here.
This team wants to run the ball. They have not run the ball very well the last 2 years. Talk about the competition in that running room and the coach's focus on this team being able to run when they want to.
Oh yeah, definitely. Playing with an edge, playing with physical. We want to be physical with anybody that we play. We want to make. We want to help the line get a new line of scrimmage every play, to open the holes for us, and all the running backs in that room, they all have different roles, and, they're great at what they do. Everybody does different things, and we try to make each other better, every day, and each day, we're going to continue to get better.
Two more thoughts. One about the competition out here today. Obviously, it was spirited, to say the least. What'd you get from it?
I loved it. First joint practice my NFL career, I think it went great. I love to be out here balling with my brothers every day. Can't wait to be out here tomorrow, doing the same thing.
And lastly, on draft night, it seemed like you had a hell of a party with family and friends. You celebrated. Yeah. Are you getting to share some of this with them? Are they enjoying your ride in the professional football ranks?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They always giving me courage, good things, and, keep my head good, and, keep being myself, because that's what Jags drafted me for, just being myself and things like that. And that's what I'm going to continue to do and get everybody else around me better every day.
Guys, it seems like the Jaguars have a find here in the 7th round that the kid can play. We've seen it from him on the practice field and in the first 2 preseason games. But bigger than that is the energy, the passion that he brings. It's evident in that interview and when you're talking to him face-to-face. That's what James Gladstone was talking about when he mentioned that he was looking for a Jaguar DNA.
Yeah, when you talk about that DNA, it's refreshing when your personality, when your upbringing, it can shine through on the football field. And it's wild how the running back position has evolved over the past decade, but it still seems like it's so hard to find those guys that are willing to pass block, to take on those blitzers, to take on those defensive ends when the line slides. And Laquent Allen is definitely up for that challenge. It takes a special type of person just to stand in that pocket and go, all right, I'm taking this linebacker. He maybe has me by 30, 40 pounds, but I'm going to lower my head and deliver some damage. Maurice Jones-Drew was great at that. So, just based off of that alone, in terms of his ability to be at third down back and provide some protection for Trevor Lawrence, it means everything.
Yeah, and he looks to hit somebody every time he runs the ball, right? Yeah. Like he's looking to deliver a blow. Now, he'll make you miss if he can, but he's not afraid, Brian, to lower his shoulder and stick it in there.
Well, coming up, guys, in about 15 minutes, Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks will join us from the booth. But up next,
confidence that Liam has in him, the confidence that I have in him, the team has in him. Everybody believed he could make it and knows he can make that kick.
Special teams coordinator Heath Farwell explains the decision to kick that long field goal against the Steelers. The Jaguars and Dolphins are coming up at 7 o'clock in Miami. And you're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 24-6, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications. Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
Hey fans, it's Tyson Campbell, cornerback for your Jacksonville Jaguars. This season, make your game day even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium. And you can enjoy even more with the pizza pick-off promo after the game. When the Jaguars get 2 interceptions in one game, you'll score 50% off one pizza any size you want for 48 hours after the game. Just tell them you want the Jags Pick promo when you order. Up your game and your pizza with Al's at the stadium or any of their locations.
My best friend Riley loved going to the beach. She was a great swimmer. Then one day, during a swim meet, she collapsed. She had cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. She spent months getting care at UF Health. The doctors did so much, even put her in a clinical trial. I wish we could go to the beach right now. But she's working.
Out of the water.
She's on lifeguard duty. Maybe we'll head out when her shift is done.
UF Health. Human progress has no finish line.
And the Publix Tailgate Show rolls along. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. I'm Brian Sexton in Miami. Mike and Austen are in the Hyundai Studios back inside the Miller Electric Center. We have the Jaguars and Dolphins coming up for you. Kickoff at 7 o'clock right here at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Guys, I'm sure both of you on your various shows this week dealt with the last play of the game in New Orleans. And Bucky and I talked about it pretty much through the whole game as the Jaguars were getting into what scoring position could look like. when you've got a kicker who can boot a 70-yarder. Before we hear from special teams coordinator Heath Farwell, I'd like to get your thoughts on how you approach having a kicker with a strong leg.
Well, I think you can be anything you want to be here, Austen. You can be hyper-aggressive with the kicking game. You can be more aggressive, I think. And I think this is the area it's going to show up the most. Let's say you've got a 3rd and long from the 35 to 40-yard line of your opponent's territory. You don't have to pick up 5 or 6 yards. You're already in Cam Little's field goal range, so you can try to take that shot down the field, maybe create the pass interference opportunity or make the big play and be more aggressive in kind of going for touchdowns because I think you've got that 3 tucked in your pocket.
No, without a doubt. I mean, it is the ultimate game changer, right? And it could really change the whole landscape of football because there is something to be said where usually, like you just said, in that situation where, okay, maybe we have to go and try to get 7-8 yards and you have Cam Little, or as I now call him, Cam Big, but when you have a guy like that can boom it from 70 yards, obviously, especially before a half or to win a football game, that means everything.
I'll give Demetrius Harvey Bryan credit. Kicking Little is what I saw out there on the Florida Times Union. That's not bad.
Yeah, but I like that thought about Little coming up big, too, and you nailed that one. Listen, he's a fun player, and he gives you all sorts of options, and we'll talk about it tonight during the broadcast, and it will be one of those things throughout the entire course of the season where it'd be like, now? How about now? What do you think? Where are we going? It's the curse of having a kicker with a strong leg. Let's hear from special teams coordinator Heath Farwell. And he knew he had a kicker who could go long distance, and it's been the moment of the preseason so far. And I asked him about Cam, long field goals, in the process of deciding when to let him swing that powerful right leg.
Yeah, we always set the lines in pregame, and then it obviously adjusts, obviously right before half, end of game, and it's one of those conversations that I have with Cam, regularly, and throughout the game we typically stay up to date, and I had a good feeling about his line. The wind was slightly at our back, and I've seen him kick those kicks since he's been here. And so I was aware of what he had done in practice. He had never done it in a game, but I knew he had the leg to do it. I saw his warm-up. I thought he had a great warm-up. And then at the beginning of that drive, I informed Coach that, get it past the 50. I felt like we had a decent chance to make the kick and at least give him a chance. And then obviously, so that was the plan, was to run some slants and try to get across the 50. Unfortunately, we weren't able to cross the 50, but we got it close. And then from there, of course, Coach, looked at me, and I kind of gave it the let's see what this looks like. I just looked directly at Cam, and there was not a guy with a more happy smile on his face and nodding. He's saying, let's go. He's ready to go. He wanted it bad. And so the confidence that Liam has in him, the confidence that I have in him, the team has in him, everybody believed he could make it and knows he could make that kick. And he's just a special talent, the guy who works at it every day, and the operation of those guys with Logan and Ross is spectacular. So it was nothing but trust for him. That's the cool thing. And it was a cool moment just to see everybody out there at the, celebrating with him. You just see the bond they have, the respect they have for him and the group and the special teams group we have here. So it's really cool.
It's a top 10 moment for me in Jaguars history, and I know it's just preseason, but to see a kick like that. But the flip side now is everyone thinks, 65 yards, no problem. 63 yards, no problem. There's only been 38 since Tom Dempsey kicked that in 1970. There's only been 38 field goals of 60 yards or longer. So how do you balance the decision to, like last week, try to get a little bit closer versus, well, he's got the leg? I mean, that's going to be an interesting protocol that not a lot of special teams coordinators have had to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, and that's ball. We even have the interesting dynamic of, do you kick some of those kicks, not even in the end of the game of we have the best plus 50 punter in the National Football League and maybe of all, in the history of the National Football League. So, a lot of times you may maybe forgo that 3 points, pin them deep, and expect to get the ball right back, and then you're back in scoring position again. So those are the decisions we have to make. We have to really weigh it out. But it is a good problem to have when you got Cam and Logan. It's a great problem to have, and that's the communication that Liam and I have to have every single day and every game of where's the best decisions to make to help us put in position to win.
Looking forward to Cam Little at least getting his chance last week. Would have been a 60-yarder right from what they were. Does Liam Cohen change anything, you think, Austen, in the regular season now? Would he be more inclined to maybe just run that, take the 3 yards, or, not risk it after seeing that result in the preseason?
It's crazy that we're talking about like a 60-yard field goal being a chip shot now, it seems like, for Cam Little.
May not be a chip shot, man, but he hit that 53 like 3/4 of the way up the pole,
man. I know, yeah. I think because there's coaches approach this differently. I think there's the analytical approach, and then there's the feel approach. And I hope Liam Cohen, he leans towards the feel approach more, because analytics going to say he kicks from 70 yards, maybe go for it. But like we talked about, like, you have a great punter. Game flow is definitely a thing, and if you miss that 70-yarder in a regular season game, well, then that flips the field position. Now the other team has the momentum, right? So you got to take that all into account when we're talking about where you're going to let Cam Little do his thing.
Didn't we see a couple of plus 60-yard field goals last night?
Joey Sly hit from 63, and he was the second best on the night. Brandon Aubrey had a 64 for Dallas. So, yes, Brian. I mean, we just got to change our mindset about what's doable in today's NFL.
Well, I was so amazed last week. And again, it's preseason, different coaches, different situations, want to see different things, that they put the ball into the end zone and put the ball on the 35-yard line. I mean, it just seems like that's a tremendous mistake.
Against this team, Austen, it might be, right? I mean, 2 decent completions, and you're at least in triable range.
Yeah, that's what the NFL wants, right? The NFL always wants the points and everything. So, yeah, that's also going to be a huge advantage for the Jaguars, because even the ball on the 35-yard line, it's not going to take anything, get you to the 45, 50, and then obviously we're talking about Cam Big again, maybe doing his thing.
Guys, 5 or 6 jobs open tonight. I think we talked about that off the top of the show. And there have got to be a few guys for whom special teams tonight will make that decision.
Oh, without question. I mean, look, you just look at the wide receiver core, Austen. I mean, in terms of just as a pure wide receiver, Joshua Cephas had a great camp. Just got that waived with an injury designation. A lot of people feel that 5th spot may come down to Austin Trammell or Tyler Irwin, and they both can have a little bit of return equity for you on special teams. But Chandler Brayboy might be the best pure special teams coverage guy out of the remaining players vying for that spot. So it's going to be interesting to see the numbers game play out.
This is what Liam Cohen, James Gladstone right now are looking for, right? Because obviously you're starting wide receivers, then you get Parker Washington as well. So that's pretty deep in terms of playing time right there. So it does come down to special teams, and one mistake here, one mistake there could cost you, or one great play that could lead to a touchdown, or at least a big change of momentum can get you on this team.
What I think is fascinating is you have Daniel Thomas, who has been a special teams ace, one of the key players for Heath Farwell, and he's in his 6th season. And behind him is Rayon Lane, who was an excellent special teams player at the Naval Academy. I mean, there you have a guy that you know and a guy that you hope, and they're both going to be on the field tonight. I mean, that's one to watch.
Yeah, look, I can't speak for the coaching staff, Austen, but Ray Lane's making this team. I think the question is Daniel Thomas also making this team? But they drafted Rayon Lane to be exactly this, and we're seeing it show up in game action.
You know, when we talk about draft picks, especially from a new regime and everything, like, unless they give you a reason to cut them, they're on the team, right? Because anytime a draft pick makes the team, like, it makes the GM look good, it makes your regime look good. And for your first year, it is about looking good. So I agree with you, Mike. I think he's going to make the team for sure.
2 other guys to watch tonight, both of them rookies. One, a 4th-round pick, Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame, thought to be an excellent special teams performer. And I'm told that they really like Branson Combs, the undrafted rookie from Wake Forest, because he can do a lot of things for them on teams as well. Well, coming up at 5 o'clock, it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. When we return, though, Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks are here in the broadcast booth at Hard Rock Stadium. We have the Jaguars and Dolphins coming up in the preseason finale with a 7 o'clock kickoff. And we're back after this on the Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
Hey fans, it's Tyson Campbell, cornerback for your Jacksonville Jaguars. This season, make your game day even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium. And you can enjoy even more with the pizza pick-off promo after the game. When the Jaguars get 2 interceptions in one game, you'll score 50% off one pizza any size you want for 48 hours after the game. Just tell them you want the Jags Pick promo when you order. Up your game and your pizza with Al's at the stadium or any of their locations.
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are here for them, and we are here for you. Ranked #1 physical rehabilitation hospital in Florida by U.S. News and World Report, our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
The kick is up. It's good! Field goals for Firehouse Subs are back. That means when the Jags score from deep, you do too. Anytime the Jags score a field goal that's 40 yards or more, you can get a free medium sub with the purchase of any other medium sub online or in the app for 4 days following the game. So cheer on the Jags, watch for the big kicks, and get your buy one, get one free medium sub at participating Firehouse Subs throughout Jacksonville when you use the app. The hottest subs in Duval. See firehousesubs.com for offer terms. Can you smell it? The sweet scent of victory is already in the air, Jags fans. Wait a minute. That's not victory. That's the warm, buttery, sweet aroma of freshly baked Auntie Anne's pretzels. Your nose knows. Follow it to the nearest Auntie Anne's. Now located right here in Everbank Stadium. Auntie Anne's. Let's get twisted. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
And we're back at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show, hour number 1. Brian Sexton with Bucky Brooks and Jeff Lageman in the broadcast booth. JP Shadrick is back with Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane getting ready for hour number 2, but we're going to have a lively conversation here for the next 10 minutes. Guys, forecast looks like maybe we're going to miss the rain.
One up close and personal, too. I mean, hey, Brian.
How are you? That's why I can stop you. I'm back there normally on Sunday trying to get Austen and Mike to pay attention.
Yeah.
Now you guys are going to have to mind your P's and Q's and stay on time. It's time for Finding Solutions presented by UF Health, the proud healthcare partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike?
All right, well, guys, let's find a solution to the last couple of spots on this roster. Jeff and Bucky, give me each one head-to-head battle for a roster spot that you're going to be monitoring tonight.
That's a good one. You want me to start, Bucky?
You can start, because I don't even know if it's really a head-to-head
I'll start. I mean, look, I think there's a position battle going on at linebacker, and I think it's between Branson Combs and Chad Muma. And I think Branson Combs, has got a lot of upside. Chad Muma's got a little bit more experience. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. The one disadvantage that Chad Muma has had all training camp, and got to point this out because as a linebacker, you got to have your hands. Yeah. Well, he's had that club on the end of his one hand, which it's being protected because he had a surgery that so he's got his whole hand basically in one big giant ball club. And so, I mean, if I'm fighting for a roster spot, I'm feeling like I'm at a little bit disadvantage if I'm kind of like that.
Yeah, no, Jeff, you talk about that spot, and that spot is going to come down to special teams play, and Branson has been outstanding. I'm going to cast my eyes at wide receiver, trying to figure out who is going to emerge as the 5th wide receiver on the team. And even though we have it classified as a wide receiver, it's really a special teams position. So Chandler Brayboy is someone that you want to keep an eye on, because this team has talked about the need for a bigger receiver, someone that can do not only the stuff as a sub receiver, but can they find someone that can get busy on special teams. He's someone to watch, and one of these guys has to emerge, because if you can't find it on this squad, then your eyes are on the waiver wire looking for someone that can be a special teams.
And that's where I was going to go, because, I mean, I think it's Brayboy or somebody else somewhere else, because they don't have another body type at that wide receiver position that can fit the bill. I mean, look, a lot of wide receivers don't want to play special teams. They want to catch balls. And the reality is in the NFL, if you're number 5 and you're not number 1, 2, 3, or 4, you better learn to play special teams. And the only guy that has shown a willingness to do that out of that position group is Brayboy. Yep. Now, he's a long shot to make it, and he's got a chance. Definitely will make practice squad, I think, and they'll develop him. But, he's fighting with probably from somebody else, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Jeff, Bucky, great to hear from you guys. When we watch the Chiefs and the Bears, two different teams. You have the Chiefs, who obviously have a very experienced quarterback, a very experienced regime with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They played their starters. And then you have the Chicago Bears, obviously a new system and everything, and they also played their starters as well. How do you guys both feel right now with Jacksonville looking to pretty much sit all their ones right now, get a look from the 2s, 3s, and 4s? Would you like to see them play some of their starters tonight, get a little bit of a groove, or is safety the most important thing here?
I think you want to get to the starting line with all your guys. And Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, those guys have been heavily influenced by Rams culture. And the way that Sean McVay has always operated, they would get the heavy work doing joint practices, but on game day, it's for the guys that are fighting for roster spots and the younger guys. I tend to come from that school of thought. And even though Kansas City's had a lot of success playing their guys and being ready to go the first month of the season, I think for this team and where we are, it's important to get to the starting line with everyone available so we can see if we can have a faster September than we've had in the past.
Yeah, I think if the practice was on Wednesday this week, then okay, then let's play your starters, But look, that's 2 days ago. I don't want to take my starters and have them go through the rigors of a practice with another team and then turn around and play a bunch of snaps in a preseason game 2 days later when, like Bucky says, you're trying to get to the start line healthy. So, look, and the Miami Dolphins are going to play some of their guys tonight. It's all in Mike McDaniel's push to be, more disciplined and more of a team, and he still wears yellow sneakers at practice. So I kind of
what's
laugh
the story
at that.
with that, by the way? Is there a story behind it?
It's a total joke. Brian, he's out there on the practice field, and he's wearing, and Austen and Mike, team colors, right? You wear the team-issued apparel.
Are they yellow or are they gold?
No. They're like school bus yellow.
Okay.
School bus yellow with a blue sweatsuit of some kind with, the designer glasses, and it just all says, look at me. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you look at his players out there on the practice field, and you see the same thing. Bucky, you got guys, one guy's wearing game pants, another guy's wearing shorts, another guy's wearing game pants that are cut off, look like Daisy Dukes. Yeah. Okay, is there any uniformity going on with this organization?
And I thought I sounded like the old man in the broadcast.
No, but look,
it's football.
No, a team is a direct reflection of his coach, and for a coach that has talked about having a more disciplined, a more structured team, like it starts at the top. And so if he can't comply to the standards of what we are used to seeing from an elite head coach, then look, the team is going to fall apart as well.
Now, I like the look of our team in that practice the other day. Okay, we look sharp. Okay, our head coach looks sharp. Our coaches look sharp. Our organization look organized. Give me the team in teal as opposed to the team that was in aqua on Thursday all day long.
All right, well, Liam Cohen knows where the line is now with footwear to stay on Jeff Lageman's good side going forward. Guys,
Mike, he heard it now, and he knows. Don't wear school bus yellow sneakers around me now.
Understood. All right, let's talk about the D-line quickly. Since last week's game, the Jags trade for Colin Saunders, and they get Eric Armstead and Mason Smith back to full practice. What are your feelings about the state of the defensive tackle room right now?
Well, I think it's still in the kind of state of flux, right? Mason Smith is going to play tonight, and that's a good thing. I want to see him get some snaps. He's a young player. Eric Armstead, look, he's an absolute stud physically. That's the reality. And when he plays and he wants to play, he plays well. And I thought he did a pretty good job in the practice on Thursday. So I'm glad to see that. I want to see more out of Mason Smith because he needs the reps. I'm glad they traded for Colin Saunders because the reality is that behind Devon Hamilton, and even Devon Hamilton to some extent, that position and the play level has not been very good.
It has not been very good. And when you think about championship caliber defense, they're strong right down the middle. The biggest weakness that we have is right at defensive tackle. So trying to find someone that can play elite football because the guys on the edges, they're going to be fine. We've seen Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen dominate on the edges. But if you can't stop the run and if you can't get an interior push as a pass rush, it is really hard to win in today's game. And so somebody of those aforementioned players, they have to step up and play at an elite level.
Guys, really quick, we talked about the interior defensive line a little bit, and there's going to be a rotation going on, but when it's week 1 against Carolina, who do we have as a starter? It's going to be Eric Armstead or Mason Smith?
I think they're both going to play. So, I mean, starters kind of just seems it doesn't really matter, because they're both going to be playing, but I would expect the veteran to get the start just because he's a veteran guy.
Yeah, I would think so, too. He's the one that is more likely to understand how to get ready in a limited preparation time, so I would go with Armstead in that situation.
How much time do you think we'll get from Colin Saunders? Not tonight, but how much will he factor into the rotation this year?
To be determined. Okay. I mean, I think the first game you got a kind of an expectation of let's go with Devon Hamilton, and then once you see his level of play, and then you look at Colin Saunders' level of play, then you make adjustments as you go. And I think that's going to be the way, Brian, for the team almost all year.
Yeah.
Because the goal is just like Bucky was talking about, getting healthy to the start line. It's to be good at the finish line.
Yes.
Okay, so you may be tweaking this roster from a roster composition standpoint, but also who's playing where.
All right, Logs, have a good broadcast. Bucky, I'll see you on TV a little bit later. And to JP, Mike, and Austen, have a great next 2 hours of the Publix Tailgate show, because that's what's coming next. Top stories of the day. Jaguars and Saints. Jaguars and Dolphins coming your way at 1 o'clock in preseason Week 3 action. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Football and Miller Lite. Duval's greatest pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going well past postgame. Sunday night overtimes. Followed by Monday morning pride. Knocking on bar tops for luck. Kicking back on any given Sunday. You never forget the way some things taste. Jags football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
The kick is up. It's good!
Field goals for Firehouse Subs are back. That means when the Jags score from deep, you do too. Anytime the Jags score a field goal that's 40 yards or more, you can get a free medium sub with the purchase of any other medium sub online or in the app for 4 days following the game. So cheer on the Jags, watch for the big kicks, and get your buy one, get one free medium sub at participating Firehouse Subs throughout Jacksonville when you use the app. The hottest subs in Duval. See firehousesubs.com for offer terms.
Champions are built from the support and encouragement they get from the team around them. No one knows that better than Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr.
As one of the nation's largest pediatric health systems, Nemours Children's Health gives hope to future champions every day to go well beyond their limits. Together, we can redefine children's health. We are Nemours Children's Health.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Chelsea here from Renewal by Andersen. You've seen and heard our ads where I talk about Renewal by Andersen's exclusive Fibrix material being twice as strong as vinyl, incredibly energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. But if you haven't reached out yet, now's the time. August only. Renewal by Andersen is offering triple savings. $300 off every window, $825 off every patio door, plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0% interest for 12 months. Don't wait. Schedule your free consultation today at bestwindowsflorida.com. License number CGC 1527613.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
And welcome in. It's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. It's preseason week 3, and we're closing in on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. A 7 o'clock kickoff time at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Austen Lane. We're at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. 3 hours of football remaining until the regular season, gentlemen, and here we go. Not many starters. Actually, none of the starters really going tonight. So a few roster spots remaining on this team, and 60 minutes to figure it out. That's
Great
it.
battles. I'd like to ask you what color your sneakers are, but this is radio, and it doesn't matter that much.
Exactly.
But yeah, Austen, I mean, we've been talking about it, man. There are, for these guys, some of them, their football careers may end after this week, right? Yeah. I mean, some guys will make it onto the practice squad. Others will get picked up around the rest of the National Football League. And some guys will keep fighting the good fight, and it just might be the end of it. So, you know, we say these preseason games aren't important. They aren't in the big picture for the team itself, but for a lot of these guys, their careers are on the line tonight.
No, their careers are on the line, and, you know, it's kind of – because I've been here. I've been on the bubble when I was in Chicago, when I was in Kansas City, and every team handles this game differently. You know, when I was in Kansas City, there was a supreme focus because we played some of the starters that game too as well. So, like, we're all focused. We're playing the Green Bay Packers, actually, and we were focused on the Packers that game. When I was in Chicago, they could care less about the last preseason game. That they were literally already game planning for the first game of the season. We were kind of left to our own devices to try to game plan ourselves. So every team approaches this game differently in terms of the last preseason game. I get this sense because there's still some roster, spots to fill up. I think Liam Cohen and company, like, they're going to take this very seriously, and they're going to analyze who's going to make this team and who's going to be on the practice squad.
Game day weather is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Water less. Down in Miami Gardens today, 81 degrees currently. A chance of some rain right around kickoff, 20%. Let's just keep the lightning out of there tonight. Don't need a delay in any game, but certainly in the final preseason game of the 2025 preseason. Here in Jacksonville today, another warm one, of course, 84 degrees. Some rain earlier in the day, and rain expected to start again here in just a little bit. Here are some of today's top stories, starting with head coach Liam Cohen discussing the joint practice Thursday, his reaction right after the Jags and Dolphins got together at their practice field.
I thought it was physical. That much was pretty obvious on both sides of the ball. I thought there was some physicality. You're seeing different defensive structure, different offensive systems. It's great for our guys to just get that good work in. You know, they've had multiple joints already. We had none. So to be able to come out and compete against somebody else in general is great. So I do think that it was good quality work for us. You know, could we have been able to go more just because we're not sure what we're going to do with this next game? Yeah, probably, but it's good to come out of it healthy as well.
Yeah, it kind of felt like in the aftermath, Liam Cohen just wanted a little bit more, and the Dolphins weren't willing to give a little bit more in terms of the team work because they had been spent already, Austen, and you got to kind of match up against the team you're going against, and it felt like they felt like maybe just a little bit more would have been good for the Jags.
Well, and it's such an interesting predicament, too, because I assume they only practiced together for this joint practice one day because obviously Miami's been to a couple joint practices now, right?
That's
so
right.
Is that kind of their thought? Yeah, because, back when I played, it was always Atlanta. We'd go to Atlanta would come here, and, it's the ebbs and flows in camps, right? So you would walk off that field knowing either, well, you won today or the Atlanta Falcons won today, but you always had a chance to make it right the next day. When we talk about just this one-off in terms of a joint practice, I guarantee some of those guys walked off that field for the Jaguars thinking, man, they might have got a little, of the better of me, and now you can't make it right. Like, you can still coach it, but you don't get the opportunity to go back out there and make it right, and I think that kind of sucks, to be honest with you. So I'm a little disappointed that it was only a one-day joint practice, but once again, with Miami, they've been joint practicing all over the country, it seems like, so it does make a little sense.
Yeah, I think it's something probably Liam Cohen will try to get earlier on the schedule next year in the preseason, right, because of all these issues that we're talking about. And it's a shame, too. No Travis Hunter, no Tyreek Hill, no Devon Achane. So some of the best offensive skill guys weren't available. So you didn't necessarily get the best test, even though you're running ostensibly ones versus ones.
And the Jags offense didn't have the best day overall. Defense held their own. By the way, Tony Baselli told us on the Liam Cohen show Thursday after the practice that they tried to get joint practices with Atlanta. They thought they were going to play Atlanta in the preseason. Last second, league comes in, no, you're going to New Orleans instead in preseason week 2. They had to scrap all those plans. Now let's hear from the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence just wrapped up his 5th NFL training camp with a joint practice Thursday against the Dolphins. His progression continues.
I feel good. I think the work we've put in will show during the season, the work we put in during camp. Today wasn't our best showing, but, Grant made a great point to the quarterbacks after practice. At the end of the day, we're not going to be judged on how today went. That this is just today, and you put it in a box, you learn from it, you move on. That doesn't determine what we do in week 1 versus Carolina, just like tomorrow won't determine necessarily what we do in Carolina. It's just an accumulation of all the days and taking all the information in and learning from it, growing from it, and understanding that it's all making us better to get us to a place to where by week 1 we're ready to go. And there's, we're counting down the days now. There's not many more prices left. So he made a great point of just, making every rep count, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect, but really learning from it and being focused and dialed in and having a standard for how we play.
That's Trevor Lawrence after throwing a couple picks at least in the practice on Thursday, and coming out of it, he said it himself there, Mike, and you can tell he's got the pressure on him now. He knows what's at stake here.
It's interesting you said it that way. Pressure on him, right? It sounded like, and again, I wasn't there, but it sounded like the offensive line struggled a little bit with Miami's defensive front, right? And I think, Austen, this is the telling tale of what kind of season Trevor Lawrence is going to have. I think the skill guys are there around him. Yeah. And presuming everybody stays healthy, can this line operate as at least a middle-of-the-pack NFL offensive line? And if it can, and give him the proper protection, I think he can thrive in this Liam Cohen scheme. But want to see it. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be holding my breath to see which guys return healthy on the offensive line and how they perform against Carolina.
I'm going to be holding my breath till I'm blue in the face, Mike, because you're absolutely right. When you talk about this offensive line, go back to Tampa Bay. Yes, they had Bucky Irving. Yes, you had Mike Evans. You had Chris Godwin for a little bit. But their identity was their offensive line and keeping Baker Mayfield up. The reason why Baker Mayfield had a career year was because that offensive line allowed him to. Now, based on what we've seen, and what we've heard and what we've seen on Twitter and everything, it wasn't the best day for that offensive line against the Miami Dolphins. Now, granted, Miami's defensive front, they're pretty talented, so don't take any credit away from them. But at the end of the day, all we have to go off of right now in terms of ones-on-ones is what we see at training camp going against each other and what we've seen against the Miami Dolphins. And, there's been some good and obviously maybe some bad now with that joint practice. So that's what we have to go off of. So you're gonna hold your breath week 1 against Carolina, they have some good pass rushers as well. And hopefully Trevor can stay upright and, continue to progress and have that confidence in that back end.
Hopefully they'll have a running game to help him out as well. And they have a stacked running back room. Offensive coordinator Grant Udinski knows it is a good issue to have depth at running back.
Well, I think the running back position is a little bit like when we talk about the offensive line position, where how often do you get through an entire year where one guy is the starter and he's carrying 75-80% of the reps or 80% of the carries every single game for all 17 weeks and into the playoffs, hopefully. Right? Probably pretty rare nowadays in the NFL, so it's great to have the depth at that position, to have a stable of backs that can do it by committee and all have different strengths and weaknesses and all can provide value.
And we'll see what they come up with in terms of numbers when the roster cut comes at running back, who gets to the practice squad, but it feels like at least this could be by committee to begin things.
Yeah, you can do it to a degree, right? But what you can't have is you can't have a tell for the opposing defense when a certain guy comes on the field. These are the packages they're going to run, right? Yeah. That's why, Austen, I think you might agree with this. Bajal Tutin ultimately, as the season goes on, I think has the best total package of skills. He can run with power. He can make guys miss in a short area. He's got game-breaking speed. And I think ball security for him and obviously pass protection are the big question marks going into the season. But, I don't want to have it where, Laquent Allen's on, we're going to run a certain thing.
Sure.
When Tank's on, it's only going to be running between the tackles. So you got to avoid that.
No, I mean, defensive coordinators, they love that, right? They eat that up. Anytime you have a certain running back in the backfield, they're going to key in on that and be, okay, we have a package for this running back. We have a package for that running back. And I think one of the most pleasant surprises, I feel like, of this training camp has been Tutin in terms of his ability to lower his shoulder and deliver some punishment. Because, and I get it, maybe he showed that in college as well. I didn't see a lot of college highlights about Tutin. All I saw was, okay, this guy's a speedster. He's a burner, but he's also physical as well. And to echo your point, if you have a combination of speed but also willing to lower the shoulder a little bit, that's going to keep defensive coordinators up at night.
Let's move to the defensive side of the football, and the Jaguars made a trade after the game against the Saints last week. Colin Saunders, nose tackle, brought in a trade, part of 2 Super Bowl winning teams with the Chiefs, and brings that winning mindset to Jacksonville.
One thing that I've learned through those experiences is that it takes everybody. You know, it's not just the 11 that starts the game. It's not just the 22 that's going to be starting the game out. It takes everybody from roster spot 1 through roster spot 53. That's one thing I think that, you know, that I'm trying to just echo and bring. And just also one thing that is a strength of mine is just locker room unity in general. I've always been a locker room guy. Some of those things that I've learned from the Chiefs and throughout my career as far as winning, but the most important thing is that it takes everybody, and I think that, you know, once we have obviously everybody on board and with that same mission, you know, that creates a very powerful team.
Now, Colin Saunders adding to the depth on the interior of the defensive line, Austen, and has a lot of success in his career.
Yeah, I mean, comes from the school of Joe Cohen run stopping. Joe Cohen was with him in Kansas City, and I saw some interviews of Joe Cohen, you know, with his raspy voice and everything from yelling, but talking about Colin Saunders, just what he meant to that team. So I think it speaks volumes. Wherever this guy has went, he has got the respect of coaches and the locker room as well, and hopefully he can translate that to over here. And also may push Devon Hamilton, and we'll see what Jordan Jefferson, what the plan's going to be with him now, but you expect this guy to contribute in some sort of capacity.
And he's become a bit of a fan darling already, right? I mean, he's taking to social media, talking about how good he looks in teal. He'll drop a Duval at the drop of a hat. He's ready to go, man. I mean, just a guy that's easy to root for.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure his brother is the backup dancer for Taylor Swift as well. So now we're getting the Taylor Swift bump. Maybe get her in the press box for a game.
There's
no
question that Monday night game we're going to get
print money now.
It's coming.
We're printing money.
Is that how it works? Let's continue on defense. The defensive scheme continues to grow, and first-year coordinator Anthony Campanelli likes what he's seen in training camp from his group.
I just think there's a good camaraderie, and I think that does show up with communication. I hate to keep saying that, but I think guys really do a good job of, right now are doing a good job or a better job of communicating from where we were earlier in the summer, and they're starting to know exactly what they're doing. They're playing with a little bit more anticipation, and in my opinion, you either play with anticipation or anxiety, and I think the guys are starting to play with a little bit more anticipation, and that's how big plays are made.
As a player, with a new scheme coming in, it takes a little while to get acclimated. Are they there, in your opinion?
I mean, you're not going to be there just yet, right? It's going to take you halfway through the season to kind of really get a feel, I think, for this defense. But I'll tell you what I appreciated from week 1 to week 2 of the preseason. When you talk about that Steelers game, obviously guys were looking back, not knowing where to line up and everything, and you know that they came out and said they were surprised by the up-tempo of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go to New Orleans, and it's a different team, right? Everyone's lined up properly. Everyone's ready to go. But I like what Coach Campanelli also incorporated in terms of the blitz game, right? He saw that first game against the Steelers where they couldn't generate that interior pressure. So then what do? You start sending guys at linebacker. You start blitzing a little bit, and that's what he did. Now, some guys would just say, you know what? Let's keep it very vanilla, very meat and potatoes. We're not going to blitz. We'll say that for the regular season. I like a guy that's aggressive. I like a guy that wants to risk it for the biscuit and say, you know what? We didn't get home the first game. Let's get home this game.
Yeah, look, all of this, it was a good step in the right direction, right? And what happens today, we're not going to see many starters. It's not going to matter. If you perform well against Carolina, we're not going to talk about any of this anymore. If you don't, then we're going to look for warning signs that were there along the way. So I hope just the general trend towards better communication, which you would expect it's not going to start out great. But it has been a bugaboo, JP, over the last several years. Guys with blown assignments, looking around like, was that your guy? Was that my guy? Letting guys go in zone when they think they have help over the top and it's not there. That kind of stuff will kill you.
And let's finish up with final cuts looming Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, the deadline to get it down to 53. And tonight, the last chance for guys on that bubble to get game tape for either this team or 31 others, of course, according to head coach Liam Cohen.
You know, it'll be a lot of young guys getting some quality work, and there's a lot of guys that we got to that are going to play that are fighting for a roster spot or fighting for a roster spot potentially on somebody else's team. And so this is valuable tape. Great challenge that some of them are going to obviously go up against. We're all going to go up against, and but it's a good opportunity for those guys as well.
60 more minutes for some of these guys moving ahead, Austen.
Yeah, and it's the ultimate pressure cooker, right? Because it doesn't matter what you do in training camp. Like, yeah, sure, if you do good in a joint practice against the Miami Dolphins, maybe they look at you a little bit, but what matters the most is when those lights are on. And for a lot of these guys, it's probably the end of the road. And for some of these guys, it's the practice squad or maybe an opportunity in another team.
Yeah, rent don't buy if you're one of the last 2 or 3 guys on this roster, by the way.
Absolutely. Don't miss your chance to score an exclusive Brian Thomas Jr. bobblehead and a ticket to see the Jags take on the Chargers, Colts, or the Jets at the bank. This special offer won't last. One bobblehead comes with every ticket. So get yours today at jaguars.com/bobblehead or call 904-633-2000. About 15 minutes away from, inactives, in air quotes, players who will not dress. It's a long list. Expected to be announced in about 15 minutes. Up next, though, we'll hear from third-year linebacker Ventrell Miller explaining the difficulty of learning a third different defensive scheme. Kickoff just after 7 o'clock for the Jaguars and the Dolphins in preseason week 3. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
It's here that a tiny newborn has the heart surgery needed to save her life. It's here that a first grader learns to speak clearly and confidently. It's here that a 12-year-old athlete builds the strength to run full speed again. It's here at Wolfson Children's Hospital that answers are found, courage is shown, and odds are beaten every day. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
Right Now Power Sports is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars football fires up your Sundays, and a Yamaha boat or wave runner brings on-the-water thrills to get you through the other 6 days of the week. Check out the extensive Yamaha watercraft selection that must go at the Right Now Power Sports Beach Boulevard and Jacksonville locations. Their prices will not be beat. You and the Jaguars can both win this season. Just mention Jaguars at the time of your purchase. Online at ridenow.com.
It's the summer sales event with the Ford Groom.
Sam, 30 seconds on the clock. The Ford Summer Sales Event.
Great time to buy.
Correct. What do we have amazing deals on this summer?
Ford trucks and SUVs.
Is Ford America's all-time best-selling auto brand?
Let me think. Yeah, it is.
3 for 3.
What do I win?
You get to work at the Ford Summer Sales Event.
Amazing. I think I was going to do that anyway.
You betcha.
Based on Automotive News Almanac historical data and industry-reported sales data from 1909 through 2024 CY.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dog made in Florida. Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer.
Hey, fellow Floridians. I'm Brenda Marie, pet parent to 7 precious pups and a huge fan of natural gas. Hush, hush, you guys. When it's bath time, we love our natural gas tankless water heater. We get endless hot water when we need it, use less energy, and save money, too. Aw, yes, we do.
Now, earn up to a $700 cashback rebate for installing a new energy-efficient natural gas water heater. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate Show continues, and we're inside 2 hours until preseason week 3 as the Jaguars meet the Miami Dolphins. Kickoff time just after 7 o'clock at Hard Rock Stadium. Mike.
Yes.
Let's go around the NFL.
All right, let's. Jags, Dolphins, one of the last 4 games that will kick off in the preseason, and many of them already in the books. Going back to Thursday night, Pittsburgh knocked off the Jags' Week 1 opponent Carolina 19-10. The Panthers finish the preseason 0-3. The Giants put 42 up on New England, 42-10 winners there. Tommy DeVito 17-20 for a $198 and 3 touchdowns. And will he make the Giants roster is the big question right now, with Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson obviously securing spots. Philadelphia beat the New York Jets 19-17. Second-year wide receiver out of Florida State, Johnny Wilson, was placed on season-ending IR with a leg injury after that game. Dallas knocked off Atlanta 31-13. Jaden Blue got his first action. The rookie running back went 9 for 25 with a touchdown in that one. Tennessee got a W, although not much from Cam Ward. He played 1 series. The number 1 overall pick in the draft went 3 for 4 for 36 yards as the Titans won 23-13 over the Vikings. Just last night, Chicago came back, knocked off Kansas City late, although it was all Kansas City early when it mattered, with the starters in. Patrick Mahomes going 8 for 13 for 143 yards and a touchdown pass to Rashee Rice. Baltimore over Washington 30-3. So after losing and having that 24-game streak snapped in the preseason last year, Baltimore goes undefeated once again. Former Jag Dearness Johnson, 17 carries for 45 yards, only 2.6 per carry, but he did find the end zone. Indianapolis won. Another former Jag with a big day today. Laquan Treadwell had 6 catches for 116 yards and a score, 41-14. Mostly backups for the 2 teams there as they beat Cincinnati. Cleveland today knocked off the L.A. Rams. Joe Flacco did start, threw a touchdown. Dylan Gabriel, second quarterback in, 12 for 19 for 129 and a score. Shador Sanders played about 3/4 of the second half, struggled a little bit, took a number of sacks in the game, but Cleveland won it by 2 over the Rams. Houston over Detroit 26-17 today. Former Gator quarterback Graham Mertz goes 14-16, trying to earn a roster spot, 145 yards and a touchdown, and he ran twice for 20 yards. Denver knocks off New Orleans. Bo Nix with a 10 of 14 day, 110 yards and a touchdown there. Cortland Sutton caught that score, had 83 yards on 4 grabs, and ongoing right now. Green Bay up 17-0 on Seattle.
Austen, anything stand out there?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Ravens, right? I mean, one of the biggest storylines in the preseason was can they rebound from last year and everything? Right? I mean, is the dynasty over? And it looks like they're going to hang up in another preseason banner for them. So congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens.
In all seriousness, though,
yes,
they obviously prioritize winning in the preseason, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and they are a successful franchise. It's not the only way you can do it, but Harbaugh's got to care about it. You don't just luck into winning 20+ straight in the preseason.
And they don't play their starters though, either. So it's just it's one of those anomalies. I don't have any answer for it.
Neither
honestly.
do
Like,
I.
I mean, I guess they got great depth, obviously, but then can that depth win a Super Bowl when it matters the most? And we haven't seen one in a while. So yeah, man, it's one of the funnest stories, I think, at least in the preseason, and obviously they back it up again. It almost seems like at what point do you just take the gas off and be like, okay, you're beating Washington by how much?
Right. I mean, look, the Chiefs, I think, now are 0 for their last 6. So what does it matter? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're at, JP.
That's where we are. Indeed, there's our look around the National Football League. Still could be some business to attend to at the linebacker position for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How do they work things out there? Last week, Ventrell Miller got some time with the 1s. Devin Lloyd Austen got some time with the 2s. Let's see what that has in store coming up. But excited to see what the answer is at linebacker moving ahead. And we're going to hear from Ventrell in just a moment. Third-year player.
Yeah.
And was obviously missed his rookie season with an Achilles injury, but flashed at times last season, and it seems like he's got things going the right direction.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have a giant hit on Derrick Henry that drove him out of bounds? Wasn't that Ventrell Miller that 1 year? Yeah, when you talk about Ventrell Miller, what you've seen this year in the preseason, this guy's always in the right spot at the right time. And he's not afraid to hit people. And I think he gives a little bit of that oomph, a little bit of that energy. Now, I get it. He doesn't have the love of PFF or a Madden like maybe like a Lloyd does, but I think Ventrell Miller, when he's been called upon, has been nothing short of a dependable football player. And Devin Lloyd, obviously, he's the athletic player, the athletic freak, but sometimes in coverage you see him maybe get a little lackadaisical. So I think it's still a battle, but by all indications, it may seem like if Lloyd's not going to play tonight, it'll be his starting spot.
We'll see what happens with that. But I caught up with Ventrell Miller this week about entering year 3 in the league, including learning his 3rd defense in 3 seasons.
Year 3 has been fun. Been enjoying the whole process. Count's been good. Just coming out, trying to fly around, make plays, communicate, and effort to the ball, always trying to get to the ball. So it's been fun so far, for sure.
3 years in the league, 3 defenses now for you.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of the difficulty of relearning the verbiage, everything that needs to be done. How challenging of an off season is it when you have to do that every year?
I don't know. Right now, I feel like I'm used to it a little bit, just from college, just having so many coaches, and then coming into the league, like you said, the 3rd season and the 3rd coach as well. So I feel like I'm adaptive to that. It's been smooth so far. You got those learning kinks a little bit, but it's been smooth for me, just learning the defense and communicating the terminology that we have now.
You know, the one guy who has no issues communicating is Anthony Campanelli, the defensive coordinator. What's he like in the meeting room? What's he like out on the grass with the team?
Coach definitely has that energy in the meeting room. I feel like you could never go to sleep, even if you was sleeping in that meeting room. He definitely brings the energy. Passionate about the game, and that's what you love from him. He wants to coach you to make sure to be the best. So always, like I said, it's been fun being in the room with him and having him coach me.
Ventrell, what does this defense and his scheme in general, or particularly, do for you and your skill set? How do those two match, and why will that help elevate your game?
Well, one, Coach Count, I know he's a linebacker guy, so he expects a lot out of the linebackers. So he definitely puts a lot on the linebackers. I feel like it's on us for everything to function right. So he has that high standard for the linebackers. So definitely using us in different ways. I feel like I'm able to show my different talents and stuff like that in this defense, for sure.
What are you best at, and where do you feel like you still have some improvement before week 1?
To me, ultimately, I feel like I could do it all. I don't know. As far as weaknesses, there's a lot of things I can get better at. But I don't know. I feel like I could do it all, though, for real.
Confidence, you have to have that going in, certainly.
Yeah.
Give us an idea going into practice against another team this week, the Dolphins going down there. What do you feel like this team will get out of having a day against another team?
That'll definitely be fun. You go out there and hit on another team and not just hitting on your teammates. But that'll be fun. I'm excited to go down there to Miami. Win down there, that's the mentality. Every rep to win every rep, do your job every rep. So I'm looking forward to going down there and doing that with those guys, and like you said, ready for the game. That'll be, yeah.
Give us an idea of final one here of the linebacker room as a whole. Some salty vets in there. Foyer's been around forever, but you got some new blood coming in too. What's the feeling in the linebacker room right now with a new scheme, new coaches, a lot of new faces? Tell us about your group overall. What do you like about them?
Yeah, definitely a great group. Like I said, it's my 3rd year with those guys, so definitely building chemistry. But it's a competitive room. I think everybody in the room knows that. Everybody's competing in the room, and also, you feel me, against everybody else. So it's a competitive room. I'm excited to go in there and work with those guys every day. They get me better, and that's the same thing, vice versa. So it's been fun. Definitely a competitive room, though.
It's Ventrell Miller, the third-year linebacker, started 9 of 15 games last season and finished with 80 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and again had some time with the first team last week. We'll see what happens in tonight's game. He is active for tonight's game. We'll get to the full players not dressing list coming up shortly. All right, Austen, final thoughts for tonight. What do you want to see?
Yeah, final thoughts. I mean, it's going to be an interesting scenario here because by all indications, the Dolphins are going to have some of their starters playing, right? So now if you're one of the backups on the Jaguars defense or offense, this is your opportunity to go against some, pretty quality players to try to make a name for yourself. So I'm going to be watching this offensive line, the 2 offensive line going against, some of these legit dudes from this Dolphins, interior and their defensive edge as well, at defensive end. And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, I'm not sure if Tyreek Hill is going to be playing, but they have speed on this Dolphins offense. So once again, talking about the backups and everything, the linebackers, the secondary, how can they handle this Dolphins offense at starters?
Yeah, I want to see the Jags defensive line against a hard-charging rookie, Ollie Gordon, if he plays tonight, who may be cementing himself as the backup to Devon Achane. And, he's a guy who will bust you in the mouth. He comes downhill the whole way, and he's played very well. So, look, this is an opportunity, as you laid out, to impress the coaches. You're going to play against guys who are going to be playing on Sundays today, at least in the first quarter. So go out there and make your mark.
Austen, we'll talk to you week 1 against the Panthers.
We'll see you guys later. I'll make sure that I wear my black shoes or teal shoes and not
you can
yellow
wear
shoes.
whatever the heck you want to wear.
Sounds like a plan.
How about that?
We'll see you guys later.
Austen Lane with us, of course. We're back in a moment. A long list of players that will not dress tonight. We'll get to those. We'll have a pregame conversation with Kai Stevens and John Ozier, and we're an hour and a half from the 7 o'clock kickoff time. The Jags and the Dolphins in preseason week 3. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Is your organization ready to tackle its toughest challenges? For 3 decades, CSI Companies based in Jacksonville has been the trusted workforce partner for leading healthcare and technology providers nationwide. Whether finding the right talent for a specific job, advising on a strategic project, or offering seamless managed services, they tailor every solution to fit your needs. CSI brings trusted expertise and a people-first approach to your organization. Get the job done right. Together, we go further. Learn more at CSICompanies.com.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
NFL fans, when it's time to get Jaguars tickets, you can tackle game day with total certainty with Ticketmaster. With 100% verified tickets available all season long, you can count on getting in with ease and spend time focusing on the good stuff. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, you can still score seats. Want to meet up inside the stadium with your crew? Transferring your tickets is an easy handoff. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Are you looking for a way to support those who serve? The Jaguars are proud to partner with VetTix, a national nonprofit doing amazing things for our veterans, service members, first responders, and their families. VetTix has given away over 30 million free event tickets nationwide to a wide range of live events, including Jaguars games. These tickets help reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create lifelong memories. Join us in supporting their vital work. To donate your unused tickets, discover how to become a member, or support their cause, visit vettix.org or firsttix.org today.
Jacksonville, it's game time. And just like the Jaguars fight for every yard on the field, Duck Duck Rooter fights for every customer at home. From plumbing repairs to septic pump outs to keeping your AC cool all season long. We've got the winning playbook. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and delivers championship service every time. When plumbing, septic, or AC problems put you on defense, don't fumble the call. Dial 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Jaguars and the Dolphins in preseason week 3 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. Kickoff set for just after 7 o'clock. From the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power on board gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Get your pencils and scorecards ready because there are 36 Jaguars players that will not dress for tonight's game. We don't have all night, so I'll go through them quickly here, Mike. Travis Etienne Jr., running back. Jordan Lewis, a corner. Tyson Campbell. Tank Bigsby, running back. De'Ami Brown, wide receiver. Brian Thomas, wide receiver, will not dress. Eli Panko, wide receiver, will not dress. Parker Washington is out. Travis Hunter. Trevor Lawrence. Daniel Thomas, the safety. Jarian Jones, corner. Foye Aluakin, linebacker. Caleb Ransaw, corner. Eric Murray, safety. Monteric Brown, corner. Bayshul Tootin, running back, will not play. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Devon Hamilton. Jalen McLeod's been injured. Chuma Edoga, O-lineman. Dwan Smoot, defensive end. Wyatt Milam, Patrick McCary, Colin Saunders, Austen Johnson, Cole Van Lannon, Walker Little, Robert Hainsey, Ezra Cleveland, Anton Harrison on the O-line. Hunter Long, Brenton Strange, Johnny Munt, the tight ends won't play. Emmanuel Ogba, D-lineman, and Eric Armstead, D-lineman, will not play. That's 36 Jaguars out tonight.
Did I hear Laquent Allen on that list?
He's playing.
He is playing. All right, that's interesting, right?
He's dressed, at least.
Right, he's dressed. Maybe he doesn't play, but is that an indication that those other guys are seen as the three that might be the ones you want to protect the most because they'd be active on game day?
Feels like it.
Yeah, we're reading into it, but that's what we've got right now. Tua went through his normal warm-ups. As we know that Mike McDaniel said they're going to play their starters for an indeterminate period of time, probably not very long, but we know no Tyreek Hill today, no Devon Achane. Jalen Wright got injured during the joint practice as well, so I mentioned earlier, probably see a lot of rookie Ollie Gordon today, but at least you'll get, Tua, Jalen Waddle, and the Miami offensive and defensive lines. I wonder if Zach Seiler plays because he's had some injury issues. I know he had a good practice, it seemed like, the other day, and he's a little bit older veteran on that defensive line.
There you have it, the players not dressing for tonight's game. Let's head to Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. We welcome in Jaguars reporter Kainani Stevens and Jaguars.com senior writer John Ogier. It's a long list we just went through. Good evening. How are we? What's up?
Hello. And I'll put your mind at ease. I am dressed, JP.
Thank goodness.
We
are dressed and ready to go when called upon.
Glad to hear it. Takeaway from the initial takeaway from the joint practice on Thursday. Kai, what did you take?
It's hot, so start there. No, so they've been wanting a joint practice. I know head coach Liam Cohen had said they originally wanted to try to get 2 in. They ended up getting 1. Miami has had 2 joint practices before they got home for this joint practice. So probably wasn't as physical or as involved as maybe the Jaguars would have liked, but knowing that he wasn't going to play his starters in the final preseason game, Liam Cohen really gave his starters some free range in that practice. We saw some good physicality out of them. I think Coach said he was pleased with what he saw from the run game setup. Obviously not the best day for the offense, I think, on either teams really. But it was nice. It's always nice to go against someone that's not your own teammates during practice.
Yeah, I think if you really made Liam Cohen talk about it, he was disappointed, not in the performance on the field necessarily, but at the structure of the practice. I think he went into it maybe a couple weeks ago hoping it was going to be sort of a slobber knocker, if you will, and really get a lot out of it. And I think once they started getting down to really scheduling with the Dolphins, he figured out that they really didn't want to have it be as intense as Liam would have liked. On the field, I don't think it's insignificant that you saw Brian Thomas Jr. sort of step up. In the part of practice that was really ones versus ones and sort of intense, it was pretty much even. I mean, the Jaguars moved it, and they had some good defensive plays. I didn't get much out of it beyond that because I think they wanted more out of it and just couldn't get it.
I think, guys, as we look at the positional battles that are on the line today, the receiver after Parker Washington, if you presume he's locked in as the number 4, whether the Jags keep 5 or 6 initially will be interesting. But how safe, Kai and John, do you think whomever that is who makes the cut is going to be? Because the Jags have been sniffing around the league, it looks like, to try to upgrade in that room.
Yeah, I think the 4 are safe, and beyond that, it's going to be what they can find on the waiver wire versus what's here. So I don't think really very safe at all. I think some of these guys, Trammell and Irwin, I think there are guys who will be in what I call the 69, because when you have 16 practice squad guys, a lot of these guys are really on the roster but not on the 53. I think there's a few wide receivers who are definitely going to be part of this. Will they be the 5th guy on game day? I kind of tend to think not.
I think, John, I agree with you fully that they're going to be checking the waiver wire, seeing who's available after those final cuts on Tuesday. I would have to imagine on this roster, that Liam Cohen wants that 50-50 guy, wants a big body that they don't have right now, right? We have a lot of small, shifty slot guy. You know, you want that one guy that's sure-handed. You can toss it up and he can bring it down, and that's not available right now with what they kind of have. So I think that's something they'll keep their eyes on. There's not a ton of them out there in general, so I don't know if that will be available come cut day, but that's probably what they're looking for at that wide receiver 5 if they could get what they wanted.
Yeah, it's hard to get everything that you want when you start building this thing in January and you've taken over. It's hard to check every box, down to where you'd like, and I think that 5th receiver is one that they're still trying to check.
Kai Stevens, John Oehser joining us from Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. We flip it now to the defensive side of the football. We just heard from Ventrell Miller in our conversation earlier this week. He's dressing tonight. Devin Lloyd is dressing tonight. Dennis Gardeck is going. Yasir Abdul. I mean, the linebacker crew, except for Foye Oluokun, is up. There's still business to attend to here, it feels like. What do you think is the play tonight for this group?
Yeah, I think on some of these guys, and I don't know exactly out of the linebackers who this applies to, but I know, say, Laquent Allen, who you guys mentioned, he's dressing. I'd be surprised if you see him unless there are other guys who can't go. I think there's a couple of linebackers who fit that as well. You have to have guys dressed in case this sort of skeleton roster, some of these guys can't make it through to the end. You have to have some emergency guys, if you will.
Right.
And so I think some of those linebackers fit that. My guess is Ventrell probably fits that, but we'll see. The linebacker situation is one where there are some guys with names, like meaning names people have heard of. We all have names. Are still sort of fighting for spots. But I don't think there's much to Laquent Allen being up, guys. I think he's going to be active on game day.
Yeah, I think some of these linebackers are, we're looking at them contributing on special teams, right? So you need the extra bodies if someone was to get injured or something to go down. But I think there's definitely some groups to keep an eye on, maybe the linebacker room there. And we've been talking about safety for quite some time. I know some of them will be dressed just in case because of the shortage in the secondary as well. But, it's going to be slim pickings out there tonight, so we'll see.
Well, let's talk safety a little bit more, Kai. As Rayan Lane brought in to be a safety, but really a special teams demon, and he's been that in the first couple of weeks. I think they're very happy, and I think he's going to have a roster spot when the cutdown comes. Where does that leave Daniel Thomas? Are they competing for one, or could you see the Jags keeping both?
I mean, so Daniel Thomas has an excused absence. He's not going to be here at the game tonight, but I'm curious what they will do there. Obviously, Heath was with the team. Heath Farwell, the head of special teams, was here last year, so he's very familiar with Daniel Thomas and what he can contribute. And I'm sure that he would tell you he's one of his favorites on special teams. So I don't know if that'll play into that. I think they love the versatility of Rayan Lane and what they've seen so far and what he might be able to be. But they are down bodies. There's a lot of injuries in the secondary. We've seen, Monteric Brown has been out most of training camp. Caleb Bransaw's been out. So they just need people at this point. So I think if they could add an extra body there, I stash somebody on IR. We'll have to see what they do with some of ththose injuries so far. But they could probably add an extra player there and maybe not have to make the tough decision right now.
Yeah, I kind of hate it because I like Daniel Thomas, but we talked about it some on the show this week, Mike. I think numbers-wise, he's going to play in the NFL. I think numbers-wise, I'm not sure that he'll be on this roster. I think they'd love to have him as part of that 69 that I talk about, because it's really the way these teams look at the roster now. A lot of those practice squad guys play. He may be too good a special teams player to get back through and have as one of those guys, because the league knows about him and they know he can play teams. I'm kind of with you, Mike. I kind of wonder if he makes it through with numbers.
All right, let's keep it moving tonight and keep everybody healthy. And we'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Kai Stevens, John Oehser from South Florida. You can check them out on Jags AM Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings on Jaguars.com. We are closing in on Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff starts at 6 o'clock. But up next, a fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey and Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth in South Florida ahead of the Jaguars-Dolphins matchup in preseason week 3, just after 7 o'clock kickoff time. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units to not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Don't get sacked by a plumbing problem, Jacksonville. Duck Rooter is here to keep your home a winning field. From clogged drains to AC breakdowns, our Pro Bowl team is always ready to run the right play. We're proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just like the Jags, we bring our A-game every time. Look for our custom Jaguar wrap plumbing vans rolling through town, because when you see the Duck, you know the job's getting done right. Thousands of 5-star Google reviews can't be wrong. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Rooter, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in-ready homes and step up your game.
Big Number 1 Duval Ford is trusted by Duval families, Duval businesses, and law enforcement across Florida. We're Jacksonville's largest Ford dealer by new Ford sales with the biggest service facility to keep everything in your driveway and in your fleet on the road. Shop Big Number 1 Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue for our low prices and nationally recognized service-first experience. Big Number 1 Duval Ford, proudly serving North Florida since 1916.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville. The Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins coming up in South Florida. 7:08, the official kickoff time at Hard Rock Stadium. Well, this is the final preseason game. I'm sure if you haven't drafted by now, there's a lot of drafts ramping up in fantasy football in the next week and a half.
I've got one tomorrow. I got 3 more after that to come. So, yeah, next weekend will really be the big draft weekend. But today kicks off really the second biggest draft weekend of the offseason. And, JP, the landscape is changing a little bit. Right now, you got to be a little bit nervous if you are drafting certain players because of the prospect of another player being traded to that team that plays the same position. Brian Robinson Jr. was sought after by a number of teams. He ends up being dealt from Washington to San Francisco for a 6th-round pick, and he'll there compete with Isaac Guerrero to back up Christian McCaffrey. To me, this doesn't drop McCaffrey down. McCaffrey was going to get his share of the carries regardless of whether it's Brian Robinson or it's Isaac Guerrero or anybody else behind him. Maybe this keeps McCaffrey a little bit fresher down the stretch, but what it does in Washington is it opens up the door for rookie running back Bill Krosky-Merritt. He's one of the hottest pickups, if not the hottest pickup in fantasy football right now. He was rested with the starters today, which is a good sign because Chris Rodriguez played very well as well in Washington's last preseason game. So it looks like Krosky-Merritt and Austen Eckler will be the 2 most valuable running backs in Washington this year. Meanwhile, Terry McLaurin's hold-in continues. And at this stage, I'm concerned that he's going to be available for the beginning of the season. And even if he is, what kind of shape and what kind of timing is he going to have with Jaden Daniels there in Washington as he just hasn't practiced? They've taken him off the PUP list. His contract situation hasn't been resolved. He wants DK Metcalf money. Apparently, the two sides are at least $5 million per year apart, so that's one to keep an eye on. And Terry McLaurin's average draft position has now fallen into the 5th round. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson is okay after an injury scare in practice this week. X-rays on Jackson's foot were negative after he got it stepped on. And Jackson, usually one of the first 2 quarterbacks taken in fantasy drafts this year, along with Buffalo's Josh Allen. You can draft him confidently that he'll be healthy for the beginning of the year. During the 2025 NFL Draft, Detroit gave our Jacksonville Jaguars a pair of 2026 third-round picks to move up from pick 102 to pick 70. Jacksonville sent a pair of 6-rounders back in the deal, but the player that Detroit was moving up to get was Arkansas wide receiver Isaac Taslaw, who finished the preseason 10 catches on 14 targets for 154 yards and 3 touchdowns, 1 in each preseason game. And he has a chance to possibly open the season as the Lions' number 3 wide receiver behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williamson. Definitely a long-term prospect to keep an eye on. And one more, the Minnesota Star-Tribune reported that the Vikings have had talks with Carolina to try to acquire veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen, who spent the first 9 years of his career in Minnesota, the last 2 with the Panthers. And the Panthers have a young group. He has helped Bryce Young kind of come along in the last 2 years. They've had decent chemistry, but they, of course, drafted Tedero McMillan. They've got to find out what they've got in Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker. So the Panthers are not just going to give him away, but with Jordan Addison missing the first 3 games with a suspension, nobody else really stepping up other than having Justin Jefferson, who's been out most of the preseason with a hamstring injury. Minnesota looking for a little bit of help in that wide receiver core.
One more final fantasy football thought here. Jaguars running backs, with so many questions about usage and where do you go if you're trying to draft out of the Jags running back room?
Well, I've been taking the cheaper alternative, and for a lot of the offseason, that's been Basil Tootin or Tank Bigsby. And, for a while there, you could get them back-to-back in the 11th and 12th rounds, which I did a lot of. So I have a lot of shares of those guys. I didn't spend as much draft capital on Travis Etienne this offseason because he was going about 3 rounds ahead. Honestly, where they were going, you don't necessarily have to start them on opening day. And I think that might be the wise approach, or at least be paying attention 90 minutes prior to kickoff, because we don't know who's even going to be inactive out of the Jags running back room right now. So if you possibly can, give it a week to see how they divide up the touches.
There's your fantasy forecast, and we're about 10 minutes away from countdown to kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, the #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. And the Jaguars broadcast booth is presented by Heritage of North Florida, Jacksonville's premier roofing and remodeling company. Let's head there now. In South Florida, Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins. They entertain the Jaguars tonight, and Frank Frangie will call the game for us here on the Jaguars Radio Network. Good afternoon, Frank. And, well, some of the Jaguars will play in this game. 36 will not play in this game or are not dressed for the game. And that's just the way it is in preseason week 3. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, JP, to you and Mike. And you're exactly right. That's the world we're in right now, and we'll have a lot of players here. So what does this game mean for players? I do think a handful of things. Number one, I don't know that they're set on their 53 yet. Now, there may be some guys who land on that 53 that aren't even here yet, JP. But there's also some guys. Some of the guys are going to battle for that 5th receiver spot. Some guys are going to battle for depth along the defensive front. So battle for depth in the secondary. And I think what you're going to see tonight is guys trying to make teams, either this team or another team. You made the point that not only 36 guys aren't playing, but that means the top 36 guys aren't playing, right? So I don't know that guys you're going to see tonight are trying to battle for starting jobs anywhere, but they're certainly going to battle for roster spots, and that includes roster spots on the Jaguars.
Well, Frank, there are at least a couple of guys going head-to-head in that linebacker core potentially, with Devin Lloyd and Ventrell Miller both having a jersey tonight. If we fast forward to Carolina, who starts out of that pair, and is the other guy's roster spot safe?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Mike. That is the one position of significance where significant players will be involved. My opinion is Ventrell Miller is going to win that job. What happens then what becomes of Devin Lloyd if I'm right about that? I don't know. I don't know if he's a good special teams player. I don't think it's a surprise, Mike, that a week ago for the first time since he's been in Jacksonville, we saw Devin Lloyd on a lot of those core 4 special teams. I think they're trying to see, can he be a special teams player at linebacker? If you're not a starter or in that rotation, then you better be able to play special teams. And I think that's one of the things they're trying to assess with Devin Lloyd. But you're right. One of those guys is going to start at the weak side linebacker spot, you would imagine. Jack Kaiser is a good prospect. This guy, Branson Combs, is an undrafted rookie who they really like. But you would imagine that starting next to Foye at that weak side spot, it's either going to be Ventrell or Devin Lloyd. And yeah, I think the guy that doesn't win that job might not be on the football team. I think you're exactly right.
Frank Frangie with us down in South Florida at Hard Rock Stadium, staying on defense. And to that end, the safety position still kind of up in the air. Where do you see this landing at the end of the day?
I think it's one of the most interesting positions, JP. If I was to guess now, I would guess Eric Murray and Andrew Wingard are going to be their starters at least today. But then what happens with the depth? Is Darnell Savage on the team? Is Antonio Johnson on the team, a guy I think they kind of like? They love Caleb Ransaw, but he's been down for a while. How does that affect things? Does Daniel Thomas, who's a wonderful special teams player, but not been as good a safety, does he make the team because he's so good at special teams? All that's in play tonight. So, I think you will learn a lot about which one of those guys steps forward. So for those guys, you're right, JP, that is a critical spot, and all those guys need to try and play well. I think Eric Murray and Andrew Wingard are on the football team. Other than that, I don't know which guys are going to be the backups, which guys are going to compete, which guys are going to be on special teams, and which guys are going to make the Jaguars. So that is an important spot tonight for sure.
Hey, Frank, real quick, give me 2 offensive names to watch or listen for in this game tonight.
All right, first of all, Jaquindon Jackson's a guy that I think's been fun. I don't know if he's going to make the Jaguars because they've got 4 guys they really like. I would say so. If you're going to be 2 guys, one guy is him. He's just been fun to watch, and I think he's an NFL football player, JP. I think he's going to be a running back in the National Football League. The other guy for me is Austen Trammell. I think right now he's the leader of the pack as far as the 5th receiver goes. I don't know that he's going to be the 5th receiver. I don't know that someone else might beat him out. I don't know if there's someone not even on the team right now that could affect him. But I think Austen Trammell trying to become that 5th wide receiver, and Jaquindon Jackson, who I think is going to be a backup running back on somebody's team, 2 guys I'll have my eye on tonight.
Frank, great stuff. Have a great call in the final preseason game. We'll talk to you.
All right, fellas. Thanks, you.
Frank.
You'll hear from Frank coming up in just a few moments at the top of our network hour. Countdown to kickoff is just moments away. We'll have the top stories of the day as well. Fred Taylor's take on today's game. And, of course, the final word before kickoff with Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. The Jaguars and the Dolphins wrap up the preseason coming up at 7:08, the official kickoff time. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll.